Welcome to this episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. I'm your host, founder of Voices for Voices, Justin Allen Hayes. Thank you for joining us, whether this is your first episode or you've been with us from the beginning. As you may or may not know, we have over 300 episodes in our podcast catalog. We encourage you to take a look, and you might find one or more episodes that may be of interest to you, and we again just encourage looking through. You'd probably be surprised with some of the topics and some of the guests that we do cover. That we are a local podcast and TV show, but we do talk about issues that expand across the United States and some global issues, and we work to try to just bring those back to the human level wherever you're at, and the human level where I'm at and we're at is Northeast Ohio. So thank you for joining us. You can find our shows everywhere. So Voices for Voices, it's the name of our organization, nonprofit, as well as the name of our podcast that you can see, and you see the hands behind me, the purple hands, the logo. That will be how you can recognize our shows from others, because voices is a popular word that's out there, but Voices for Voices is specific to us, and we're happy to have that under registration trademarked in the United States Patent and Trade Office. So thank you for joining us. We're going to talk a little bit about the year 2000. And so the year 2000, 25 years ago, so much change has occurred besides my age getting higher and higher and higher to where it's at now. But we're talking about just changes in society. We didn't have, to my knowledge, we didn't have an iPhone or a Droid phone in the year 2000. I don't know exactly when Facebook was founded, but I don't believe, well, it's obviously not to the extent it is now with the phones and the apps and all the different features that are there. And so, we didn't have Facebook. We were using computers a little bit, but not to the extent where it's, if we look at that pie of the time that we have throughout the day when we're awake, if we look at the ratio of, or not the ratio, we just look at the percentage of the time we spend on our phones or on a screen now versus the year 2000, that much different. The year 2000, right, that's the Y2K, so 1999, the Prince song "Party Like It's 1999," and so we made it through Y2K. The world didn't collapse, and computers and such and systems were still able to operate. So we made it through that. The year 2000 was also the year that I graduated high school, and so we're just going to cover some of the things that now. And why I'm bringing this up now in this particular show. So I graduated high school in the year 2000. We just had our 25th high school graduation or alumni get together, and I didn't attend. I saw the emails. I saw the posts on social media, again, that wasn't there in the year 2000, as a way of sort of a primary, one of many ways that's a primary communication, how we communicate with others. And I I guess I didn't want to attend for a lot of reasons. Number one, and this is where when people are talking about how past events affect them and they don't know how. Uh, when I heard about having our 25th class reunion, I immediately went back to that point in time, or those points in time, where I was going through high school, and one of the things that happened was my grandpa Greenhouse, my mom's dad, passed away, and I found out after a baseball game in high school. We had an away game, and then the bus brought us back to the high school, and to be picked up, or we're able to drive age-wise and all that, and so I remember that getting off the bus, and I didn't see my parents at the ball game. I knew my grandpa was not doing very well, but that was how I found out that he passed away, and so that's one thing that struck me. And I know that, like, there's babies that are born, and then there's people that pass away. I understand the whole circle of life thing, but it was something that I look back at when I got these flashbacks that are coming into mind, and so that was one of them. The other one was how I didn't fit in, how I didn't have a group, how the people that I did associate with really were taking me down a path that wasn't healthy, that included early alcohol consumption, sometimes other substances, and so the thought of me going to a reunion to be and to see some of these individuals that, no matter how nice an individual can be in person, we know the moment that we turn around and we go opposite ways, that sometimes, not always, not everybody, sometimes there's conversations that are had that aren't the nicest, the gossip and all that. And so I was like, I'm going to have to spend time with these people that really, not destroyed, but just really had a huge impact on kind of my mental state. And we're all, in those years, we're growing, go through puberty and all these things, and there's a lot of changes going on. I remember I had acne and real bad, and so that was also taking down my confidence, and so all these things, kind of these growing pains, they say, were occurring. And so my thought was like, there's no way, again, no way I can go to this reunion, just because, again, for one, all those types of thoughts were kind of that flashback of like it. Once I saw, the term and the person that was posting an email, and my mind just went there. I didn't want it to go there. I didn't say, okay, Justin's the brain. Let's take a trip back memory lane to high school and in the year 2000 when I graduated. It just happened, and I think that's the thing. One of the things I want to share in this episode is things just happen, that sometimes individuals make conscious decisions to do something. Like, I want to wake up at 7 a.m. tomorrow, so I'm going to set my alarm. That's more of a conscious. We have a little bit of, a lot of say on that. Do I take a shower in the morning? Do I take a bath in the morning or the evening? Or do I need to start packing for a trip? whatever whatever's happening, uh, there's things that we can control a little bit more than others. And my mind was the uncontrollable when I heard about the reunion, and that was just not a good place for my mind to be. And it's easy to say like, oh well, you're whatever, use whatever term you want. It doesn't bother me. Uh, but I didn't want my mind to go there, and it did. And so in my mind, again, I was starting to rehash and certain, whether they were good milestones of actually graduating or the negative milestones of some of the things I've mentioned both in this episode and others. I just couldn't see myself going and enjoying the event. And I know we don't have to enjoy everything, and not everything we enjoy is 100%. Like, oh yeah, this was fantastic, and it's always going to be like this. And then there's others that they're not. It's just a mixed bag. We just don't know. But I had control over whether I would go to this reunion or not, and I decided not to. Another reason I decided not to is some of what we do as an organization, Voices for Voices, the topics and guests we've had on, and that's ruffled a lot of feathers, various places. And so I didn't want to be answering questions of, oh, I saw this, what made you do that, or how. I just didn't want. They're not the paparazzi, but in a way, it was. I felt like I was going to get grilled because a couple of the classmates I had in high school, we've had on the show as guests, and so it's not their fault, and not necessarily the reasons why my mind kind of goes back into like these negatives and these situations of how I was feeling, how my body, the acne, and just being an introvert and having, even to this day, I can't go to just any type of an event and not know how I'm going to feel. So let me give you an example I've talked about on an earlier episode. But I haven't had a panic attack or even close to that in a while. I don't know if it's been months or it's been a good long while. And say 4 weeks ago, and then the next week, then 3 weeks ago, I was on the verge of having a panic attack at a big group event. And it was at the same point in the event, and there were a lot of people there. And, you say, well, yeah, you're a narcissist and you have to be the center of attention. I can't really help that if I am like this, where I'm able to share, I'm able to speak and talk and interview guests that we have on. Sometimes we have solo episodes, sometimes we have in-person guests, sometimes we're able to utilize the conferencing platform to be able to bring people in virtually. And so I looked at that, and so I back-to-back weeks I was basically kind of almost taking myself back to memory lane of like, oh, I'm not better. Like somebody might say like, oh, Justin, I watch your shows, I listen, and I read about them, and you're doing great, and thank you for that. It means a lot. But whether you think we're doing great or not, we just want to help people. And so the fact that I was having panic attacks back-to-back weeks, uh, those type of feelings were the same feelings that I was having in 2017 and earlier. And in 2017 is when I had my mental health crash. And that was one of the things. It was a constant where I'd be in certain situations and I just feel like I was having a panic attack that I was gonna pass out, and so I'd try to remove myself from the situation, and it was awkward, and people like looked at me funny, and probably were talking like, "What's wrong with him? Like, why is he freaking out?" Uh, so that's something that's happened here in 2025, and so I started to again think about the reunion in kind of the same sense because it was still a couple weeks before the reunion was set to take place. And I'm like, well, if I'm having panic attacks here, how am I gonna be when I'm with a group of people that a lot of them, even though we like to think we grow up and we grow out of phases and and all those things that like, oh well, I already know I'm going to be uncomfortable. Like I'd be going into a situation that was uncomfortable for me that I would know ahead of time. It wouldn't be something where I wouldn't know if something would be, good or bad or somewhere in the middle or again, bring some form of trauma up from somewhere in my mind. And then the other part is with having a past of, abusing alcohol. One of the ways I abused alcohol was whenever I was going to an event or a party, I always had, or I tried to always have alcohol with me because although it looks to you, if you're watching and if you watch any of our shows, it looks to you like I'm an extrovert, that I'm really an introvert, and if you travel with me, day to day, you'd see like, oh, okay, like this is one of the only times where Justin talks as much as he does and shares. So then my thought to the reunion was like, well, since 2017, I've been sober and I'm going to feel even more uncomfortable because I'm not going to be able to do what I used to do. And that was, have some drinks and numb the mind a little bit and not really care as much. Be like, all right, well, if you don't like me, blah, blah, blah. And they were going to be in there serving alcohol there, which is fine. I'm not saying you don't have to, that you shouldn't drink because I don't. I'm just giving you my experience. And so that was another part. I'm like, okay, so if I go to this reunion, I'm going to be around a lot of people that kind of made my life pretty miserable. I'm going to be in a group which I just had kind of back-to-back panic attacks, back-to-back weeks, and I'm not going to be able to drink. I mean, I can. I mean, it's not like I can't walk up and get a drink physically. Like I can do that, but I don't, and I don't want to. And that was part of the way that I would have gotten through an event like that, or a gathering, a get together. So those things were, were happening and have been happening. And so I started to think, I'm like, all right, that, something's going on. I need to, my mind must be on overload. There must be things that I need to simplify or just get rid of that are clutter in my life. And one of those is toxic people, where they just take one of the things, at least for me, a toxic person, they're very interested in what you're doing. and so they'll seem interested. Oh, wow, you're working on this project, you're doing that, and anything coming up, and some people will they'll dig and they'll dig and they'll dig, and me being a vulnerable person like that, I tend to. That's another time I end up sharing information and talking is when somebody asks, because I'm proud of the things, I'm happy, I'm glad where we're at, what we've done, and where we're going. It's just incredible. But these toxic people come in and steal time. And what I mean by that is if they call you and they keep you on the phone for an hour, well, that's one less hour that I or you have to do things that we either A, want to do, or B, have to do to be able to get to that point to do the things we want to do. What do I mean by that? I mean there's things that like this show, for example. The Hudson Community Television staff here, Meg and Dan and all the supporters do an awesome job. So when we're finished filming, we don't do a whole lot of editing, but the staff is gracious enough to do whatever editing and putting the watermark on the if you're viewing and watching on the TV or Rumble or YouTube. But when we talk about Rumble and YouTube and audio platforms, you have to find, for each episode, you have to have a title, a description, keywords, key phrases, and so there's things. And so, is that hard? No, it's not. It's not hard to do, but it takes a little bit of time to do that. And so that's what I mean by don't really want to have to do those things. Want everything to just magically be there and have that part be done, and then I can spend more time in my mind and just time in general trying to create and think about topics and guests. And that's the one thing also that recently I've been finding, where as I was prepping for our show, is I was having a really difficult time coming up with information and topics and things that I usually can just go off the fly and do that, just because my mind already has things. My mind has a mind of its own, but my mind actually helps me out, and it's like, oh well, we can do an episode on this, or we can do one on that, and those things weren't happening and weren't happening here in the last month or so. So that's how else I knew that there's some overload in my mind that was causing potentially the symptoms of the panic attack, contributing to the reunion, and just having that come up just as even just a pop-up or an ad or an email saying, hey, we're gonna, let us know if you RSVP if you're going to be able to make it. We love to see, the whole class of 2000 for Canton Central Catholic High School to, join us at this day and this time, and those type of things. And so that also happened. And then there's people that are time stealers, I guess is why, like I said, that they might talk and listen and seem interested, but in the end, it's like, how are you helping not just me or the organization, but me as a human? How are you helping me get through this call, this interview, this meeting, this speaking engagement, and right. So our mind, again, we go back to that pie chart. So we have 100% total, and if all 100% is taken and we're at full capacity, like let's say with our phones, right? We have, if you have any type of a phone, there's usually a memory limit on how much memory, whether, photos and emails and text messages and all that. Usually there's a limit. Once you hit that limit, you can't go any further. And so our mind is very similar to that, where that occurs, but there's no flashing red light. There's nothing that, blinks or like you hit the jackpot, like ding, 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 like beware, beware. None of that happens. And so we have to help ourselves, and we have to try to do things that help us. And so for me, therapy, medication, organization, shows, those are where I feel, in a professional sense, I feel the most comfortable as it may be, and so I have to do a better job of taking the time stealers away as much as possible, so I can free up my mind. And even if that means I'm not doing anything, or it means I'm going to be able to go mow the grass. Like there's things that my depression recently, again in the last probably month and a half, for various reasons, as I've detailed a lot in this episode, it has gotten worse, and so to me, to anybody, it's scary. To think about it, because then my mind, right? If it goes back to 2000 and high school and all those stories and the trauma, whether it was started by me or whether it wasn't, when I start thinking about like, oh, okay, let's take things back to zero. Let's make things basic, like the basic things like food, water, clothing, shelter, security. What things can I do to just focus on those for a period of time? And so we're all able to ignore calls. We get to decide if we want to respond from a text, from an email, whatever that may be. And so I encourage you to look into your life and see if there might be some people that are stealing your time, and your time where you think about the things you really love and what you really want to do, and that's okay. You're allowed to do that. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not. So thank you for joining us on this episode, the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. Encourage you to check out our over 300 episode catalog. And until next time, I am Justin Allen Hayes, founder of Voices for Voices.